All right, guys. So we're going to go through this probably a little faster than usual, but I want you guys to have some time to review. All right. So with that being said, let's get right into this. DNA is made up of the phosphate group, an organic base, and a sugar. In DNA molecules, adenine pairs with thymine. Remember later on when DNA goes over to RNA that is going to pair with uracil. The actual site of protein synthesis is a throwback to ribosomes. All right, now if the DNA template reads ATA, and then we see that we need mRNA, this is transcription. Remember to make note of that, and that means that the A's are going to pair up with U's, T, U. All right, genetic code is based upon the reading of how many bases at a time. That's going to be 3, so that's your triplet, codon, anticodon. Right, triplet from the DNA, codon in the mRNA, and anticodon in your tRNA. Then a little throwback to your quiz. So amino acids are held together by peptide bonds. Now don't get tripped up there because on your quiz we were talking about actually putting your base pairs together, which would have been hydrogen bonds. So like I gave you guys the hint yesterday, make sure you're reading, highlighting what the question's asking so that you know that you're answering the right question. Right, next one, how many codons are needed to specify for 3 amino acids, and that's going to be 9. Really a throwback to the triplet, but let's keep going. Similarity between DNA and mRNA molecules is that they're both genetic codes based on a sequence of bases. All right, then over here we have a little replication, so DNA to DNA. And once I get through TCA, GGC, I see that I got exactly what I need. I move on to the next one. All right, codon for leucine is CUC. How many different amino acids could possibly result from a single substitution? So if you swapped out one of those, you're looking at 7. That one takes a couple minutes to really look at the diagram, so I wouldn't put a question like that. But, you know, you got to expect a substitution, some type of mutation type problem. Or speaking of mutation, a frameshift mutation introduces a section of amino acids not normally found. Remember that we're changing the whole set of amino acids going forward. All right, according to Chargaff, which the following proportions exist in DNA, and that's where Chargaff said primarily C's and G's are going to be equal, A's and T's are going to be equal. All right. Now, the last one for this page, point mutation that changes a codon specifying an amino acid into a stop codon is going to be a nonsense. Remember, think stop, like non-smoking, stop smoking in that area. As I mentioned yesterday, DNA replication is also called semi-conservative. Remember, that's because half of the original sequence is still in play. Now, love this diagram. So let's take a look at the questions that I paired up with these. All right, structure X was made in the, what is structure X? Oh, that's probably the mRNA, right? Which must have been made in the nucleus. All right, process represented in the diagram is most closely associated with the ribosome because this is where translation is taking place. So just to make a quick recap here, you got your tRNA with your anticodon linking in there, bringing in the amino acid. So which amino acid would be transferred to the position of codon CAC? So you're looking there and you're like, all right, so which one's coming in next? I'm probably looking for GUG, which is going to be right over here. So we can go back and we can highlight D. We can keep moving. All right, another diagram like this one because it's showing the roadmap, right? We talked about the central dogma of biology. So, which process occurs in the nucleus, right? And that's going to be 1 and 2. Process 2 is also known as transcription. And then what is the product of process 3? And that's going to be your chain of amino acids. Hence, we see right there the word polypeptide. All right, in adults, this throwback to the quiz yesterday, 206 bones, and all the blood cells are manufactured in the bone marrow. All right, so the rib cage protects both the heart and lungs. Let's remember our key functions here of the skeletal system. Backbone consists of some small bones. They are called the vertebrae. Longest bones are going to be your femur. Tarsals are bones found in the feet. Remember, the carpals are going to be up in the hands. Bones in the skeleton are the storehouse for minerals like calcium and phosphorus. Now, giving you a heads up, use the test to answer the test. That's going to come up later on. Calcium and phosphorus. All right, so I'm going to apologize on this one. Depending on how you read this, you could go with B or D. So 28, I would not put on the test. Depends on how technical you really want to get there. All right, so what is a joint? It's a place where two bones are joined or meet. And remember that joint diagram where you need to know about the synovial fluid, the synovial lining, the cartilage, the ligaments, all of them working together at a joint. Then we got cells that secrete organic compounds. Pretty sure this was on your quiz, but that's going to be your osteoblast, right? If we're secreting, we're building up the bone, so that's the builder. All right. The skeleton is living, so don't forget about that. The skeleton is definitely living. All right, we talked about the fact that your skeleton is going to be replaced over 7 to 10 year process, which is cool in my opinion. All right, this joint consists of a bone with a round end that fits into a cup-like cavity. And that's going to be a ball and socket. Just thinking about the full range of motion, the maximum range of motion that you get with either your arm sitting in the shoulder or the hip and ball and socket that you have with your femur. So the way you can move your leg and your arm all the way around, maximizing that range of motion. At birth, the skeleton is made up of a greater number of bones. This joint has a back and forth movement like a door, and that's just going to be a hinge. All right, this question is not the best, but bones are definitely going to protect organs. Right, your skull is bone, so that's a little weird. So all of these answers didn't like that one. And then your heart, well, heart is an organ, but your brain's also protected. Your lungs are protected, so forth and so on. Okay, at a joint in the body, bones are held together with ligaments. Don't forget, the cartilage is at the ends of the bones, padding them, protecting them. And then cartilage is the cushioning tissue in joints. Then, what is outer dense part of the bone? That's going to be your compact bone, which then has the film of the periosteum over that. And then upper arm bone is called the humerus. Remember, radius and ulna are down in the forearm, and the femur is down in the leg. Now, your gliding joints, we said you can find them in the wrist or the ankle. So that should direct you right down to D, where we see ankle, wrist, and your vertebrae. All right. Then, another word for the shoulder blade was the scapula. All right, at birth, we have mostly cartilage. And then cartilage allows bones to rub together, right? That's not really the shock absorber that we said was the synovial fluid. The pivot joint is going to slide. So when you look at your wrist, right, thumbs up to thumbs down, we know that we have the radius that's rotating around the ulna. Then between the vertebrae, you're going to have cartilage. That's where we talk about discs and all kinds of fun stuff in our spine. Again, the builders are going to be your osteoblasts. Spongy bone is going to be at the end of bones. Mandible is another fun name for your jawbone. Remember, we use that to masticate. Then, provide strength to the bones are going to be your compact bone. Then I warned you before, use the test to answer the test. So this is where the calcium and phosphorus are what actually make bones hard. And on Monday, I'll show you guys the bones that have been soaking in vinegar. At that point, it'll be for a week's time. So we'll see how that all actually plays out. And then the function of the skeleton, right? All of these, right? We're getting support, we're getting protection, we're getting storage, and of course, we're making our bone marrow. So with that, I want you guys to take the rest of the period to look over your diagrams. Really make sure that you're ready for them. If you're not sure on a particular aspect of something that we talked about, jump over to YouTube for a few minutes. Give a good listen. Everything that you need is available there. All right? You guys are going to be great. Go through your quizzes. Everything should be live. You guys should be able to go point by point. Use these as good jumping off points in the practice test for things that you guys can go and study. All right? I'll be praying for you guys, and thank you guys for your efforts. All right? Have a great day.